Hi, it's Tom here from Predator Gaming, and I'm quite lucky today to be able to interview Dean Hall, lead developer of DayZ. So, Dean, thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to allow me to interview you.
No problem.
And in case you don't already know, Dean is the lead developer of DayZ, which is a zombie apocalypse survival game which has recently gone into standalone over the past few months, currently in alpha stage, taking the market by storm, and it's developed from an Armored 2 mod. So,
yep.
Dean, before we go any further about DayZ, we are here at Rezzed, so I'm going to ask you right now, how's the first day of Rezzed been for you?
Oh, fantastic. This is the third Rezzed, so I think I went to the very first one. And it's fantastic. Like, I love just looking at a lot of the games there. Some of my favourite developers are here, like, you know, Chris and Nat from Introversion, the Project Zomboid guys are here.
Yeah.
And I just discovered what we were talking about before, Maya, new game. I can't believe I missed it, so I can't wait to go back to my hotel room and play it.
I do find you unearth some hidden gems at these game conventions, especially in the indie games section. You said Maya. I've recently discovered Prison Architect, you said from Introvert.
And you can meet the people that made it. They don't just send sort of marketing shills. You actually get to see the people who are making them. So it's pretty awesome.
Exactly. I mean, even people who are making massive games like yourself, and I've even managed to speak to some of the War Thunder guys as well, and that has really taken off as well.
Yeah.
Massive games. It's a really good way for community fans and gamers alike to get close and be able to talk to their favourite games.
It's good for the developers as well, because you actually get to interact with people and talk with them about your game and stuff like that, and I think that's really valuable.
Quick question for you, how did you first get into game development and game design?
Sure, so I've been modding for a long time. I guess the first time I started even looking at games at all was on the Amiga when I was a kid. And the cool thing about the Amiga 500 was that you got given these manuals with it, like all these manuals that tell you everything there was about the computer. And I didn't have the internet, so that was kind of how I learnt about gaming. I first used the command peek and poke to write directly to the memory buffer on it, so it was kind of pretty awesome. And yeah, I was involved a lot with modding and the flight simulation community and things like that, run my own little community website, and on the basis of that, after working other jobs for a while, I ended up getting a job at a video game developer in New Zealand called She Interactive as a producer. And while I was working as a producer, I got to interact with people who were really good at their craft, like artists and things like that, and they actually taught me how to do their jobs. So then, yeah, it kind of just, everything went on from there.
It just took off from there, and here you are now with possibly one of the best-selling zombie games on the market in DayZ. Speaking of that popularity, actually, did DayZ's initial expectations exceed? Sorry, not. Did DayZ exceed your initial expectations in regard to sales and popularity?
Yeah, definitely. So even obviously the mod was a huge, like, I knew it was going to be popular within Armored 2, but I just had no idea it was going to go mainstream and take, you know, Armour itself mainstream. So that was a real shock. With the standalone, there was definitely a concern that maybe we'd kind of missed the mark a bit and that we were a bit late. So that was always in the back of the mind. I mean, I think there's always an irrational thing, like when we actually released it, I was like, well, what if nobody buys it? You know, I mean, you know, there's always someone who's going to buy even the stupidest game. But, you know, it's always in the back of your mind. But to move, you know, 1.7 million copies and a quarter, that was definitely very unexpected.
It's a very pleasant surprise, I must admit. And
definitely, yeah.
I mean, I've clocked up, must be over 250 hours on Steam now on DayZ, and that's just the standalone. I've played the mod for years and watched that develop, like you said in your developer session, with the community modding it as well. You've got DayZ Epoch with the buildings, the player bases, etc. And it just took off, and it is really good to see games developed from mods and turn into standalone. So, this may be a little bit of an awkward question, but is there a possibility of a console version of DayZ, or is it too early to know?
Look, I would say it's getting very near to being a certainty. It's something we're interested in doing. Obviously, the console manufacturers are all interested in doing it. It's just making sure that it actually happens in the right way and that it brings something to the game. I think that's quite important. But what's most important to us is PC. And I think, to be honest, it's important for whatever future console or other platform versions happen, that we do this part right. Because the worst thing we could do is wash out across all the consoles and the PC as well and have the same thing, you know, kind of standardized across them all, because then it's kind of not good on any of them.
Yeah.
So the real priority is making sure that PC is awesome and it meets the needs and what we've got now and everything's working, and then I think, yeah, we look at console.
That's nice to hear, because I know some people who can't actually afford a decent enough PC to play certain games. They'll be glad to know that a decent game or their favourite zombie game will be coming to a console.
Yeah, and I think it's good as well to have games like DayZ on consoles too. It's a shame that a game like Armour couldn't go on a console, because I think that a lot of people who, you know, like playing on consoles and like the convenience of it would actually appreciate a game like Armour.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite big. Armour is a massive game. It would take some sort of miracle really to get it onto one of the previous generation consoles, but now with Xbox One and PlayStation 4 you've really got the tools there to go nuts. What is your style of playing, DayZ? Are you a bandit? Do you like to help people? Are you friendly?
Well, I guess I'd like to say that I like to help people, although most of the playthroughs I've done publicly have involved me killing people. But that's usually an accident. They were definitely asking for it. But I think I guess it can be many different things. I was playing online over the weekend, and I was just telling you before, like I was on a full server, and I didn't really run not directly into anybody. Whenever I heard someone, I'd kind of go hide, and I was just sort of exploring and just finding stuff out. So I guess that's one thing I like about DayZ is it does kind of support different gaming moods you're in. I was in this, I don't know what to play, I want to play something, my friends kind of aren't online, so and then I was just able to go into DayZ and play it, which was very different from how I might normally play it with a group of friends.
It's good to have that variation though. Some days you might want to go on a bloodlust rage and kill everyone you see, and other days just speak to, especially newbies, new people into the game, and ask them if they need anything. It's always good to be the heroes every now and again. We've heard that you're leaving Bohemia Interactive. What are your future plans?
Well, I guess it was more sort of highlighting that I'm going to be leaving. I think it's important that people realise that at some point, not only for me but also for the project, it's best that I'm not taking as director role and everything. And I want to go back to New Zealand, and I'd really like to set up my own studio back there. So that's, I guess, kind of the plan, but it really hasn't gone anywhere and yet, because it's still so far off and there's still so much to do with DayZ.
Okay, well it's glad for us to know that you are still going to be doing game development and creating awesome games. Thank you very much for allowing me the time to interview you. From myself and my fans, we wish you the best in future, and we hope that all of your endeavours are as fruitful as DayZ.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
It's been Dean Hall and Tom from Predator Gaming.
Cheers.